by request. Check it out. How to build ships and how to get into space as quick as possible. This tutorial is going to focus solely on making ships. So if you start out, you're not going to start out with as many resources as I am, but to do a tutorial, this is going to be the best way. First, you're going to need to craft a couple items before you even get started. So I'm going to place down a crafting table. You're going to move up to it and press E to craft. You're going to want to create a couple things, like I said. First thing we're going to make is a couple thrusters. You can just, to start out with, make a couple of these weak hydrogen thrusters. You're going to need at least 5 thrusters before you can get anywhere. You can see I'm a little bit low on the light iron blocks, so I'm going to make some right now. Just bam, like that. And I get 6 of them for 1 click. So we're going to go back over here and create 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you're going to create power for those guys. So you can just come back over here to thrusters and take a look at it. You see each one requires 5. Well, we're going to need 5 for each one of the thrusters, and then also some additional power for the console, which is what you use to control the thrusters. So there's 10 there. So we created 5, so that's 25 plus 10, 35. Let's go back to power. So we're going to need to cover 35 power. Looks like one of these powerful cobalt power blocks will be enough. See right here, this guy is not quite enough. I could just make 2 of these, and that would also work. You can also use these solar panels. You can actually use any kind of power source. Or what I'm going to do is actually just make 2 of these guys, the standard cobalt power blocks. Typically you want a surplus of power in case something happens, and the more generators you have, the better chance of you surviving after taking a couple hits. So let's go to material, make a couple of these batteries. Then we're going to go back over to the power, make 2 of these guys, and we're almost there. Next thing we want to do is make a platform for us to build our spaceship on. I'm going to make it out of aluminum, so I'm just going to click that a couple times so I have enough panels to actually make anything. Then we're going to go and make our console. It requires the crafting table as well as a couple other things. The standard cobalt power block and a light iron block. Well, it's going to use one of my standard cobalt power blocks, and so I'm going to need to create another one just for this. And then we're going to need a crafting table. You can get the crafting table from your own inventory right here. Just put it right there. And then we'll press E on there again, and we can go to console, and bam. Now we're going to need some cabling. The cabling is great for running power to your individual devices. We're only going to need a little bit though, because this is going to be a simple ship. Cabling is right here. It's required a light iron block. We might be running low on iron, like I can see right there. So in respect for that, we're going to try to figure out a way to make this ship without using any cabling. Typically you want to use cabling, like you can see in my pre-constructed ship on over here. This cabling allows you to run power from central core power units that are protected by armor all the way out to your thrusters and whatnot. Ours is not going to look that complicated. It's going to be nice and simple. Alright, so let's go back out over here and get crafting. Let's get our light aluminum blocks and put it down there. Let's clear up our inventory space so we have some room to work with. Get these out of the way. Alright, so to construct your ship, you'd never want to construct it close enough to an asteroid. You need to watch for a couple things. After you got everything you need to fly away from the asteroid. If you look closely, you see a couple of arrows around the block. There's one facing kind of to our left. That's the direction this block is oriented to. That's basically the top of this block, which is kind of to our left. So typically we want to look at it like this. There's another red line. This red line is what this block is connected to. Even though it's flying on above this asteroid, it actually will be running around with this asteroid. So if this asteroid moves, so will this block. We don't want that. We want to move away, so this is a separate entity altogether. Move, move, move. And you'll see the red line disappears. Left click to place it, and boom, that's the start of our ship. Let's elaborate this a little bit. I'm going to create a flying surfboard. Long, skinny ships are probably the easiest to drive, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to make ours, oops, that's not what I meant to do. We're going to make ours just a little bit long, like that right there. And also, the heavier the ship is, the harder it is to fly. Okay, let's get on moving with the rest of our stuff. We made 5 weak hydrogen thrusters. We made 2 standard cobalt power blocks, and then we have a bunch of these iron blocks. We also have some lights, but you don't need lights to run your ship. I also pre-made some cable blocks, so if we need some, we'll be able to, but we're not going to. Then we need our standard console block. Okay? This is just going to be for simple stuff. There's a lot more complex things you can make. Alright, so just like a regular spaceship, you're going to need at least one thruster to move you forward. Then you're going to need the 4 thrusters we made earlier to be able to control the ship, like make it move up, down, left, and right. So we're going to put 1 here. And the way you can tell where the thrusters are going to be pointing is that large black area. You look at the thrusters, you see they've got different sides. The little dot side is where you want to point towards your ship, and then the black side that's where the thruster comes out of. So what we're going to do to make the ship balanced, I'm going to grab this piece out here, press R to orient them. If you press R, it'll look at you, is basically what will happen. So let's place these, boom, and boom. There you go. Now you'll notice that we've got the bare design of our ship. Let's put the console block here. We'll control it from the back. And you see that red line now points to the center of this guy. That means everything's contained here. So if this thing moves, everything moves. Here's the beginning of our ship. As you probably can tell, it's not powered. And so what we're going to do is we're going to carve out a little piece here. We're going to put our first power block here. Power blocks transmit power based on what they're connected to. So we're going to go ahead and place this here. And you'll see instantly these two light up. This turns blue and that has a little yellow line on it. So we'll put that block back. Same thing on the front here. You see all these guys are grayed out? Well, let's carve this piece out and put this guy here. There you go. So now we're all powered up. So now the ship is almost ready to fly. We're really almost there. Next thing we want to do is wirelessly connect this console block to all of these other thrusters. You move up to that by pressing F. When you press F the first time, it'll allow you to connect and assign individual thrusters and other components of your ship to keys. And which keys, you might ask? You press F again, and there you go. We're looking at which keys control which color. In this case, we're going to do the red one for forward, so we're just going to make that space. You click on the none to make it assign the color. We're going to want green to be going to the left. We're going to make light blue going to the right, so AD, yellow going down, and pink going up. Now, this game uses semi-Newtonian physics. Basically, that means that the longer your ship, the easier it is to turn and whatnot. And the furthest point from the center that you have your thrusters, the easier it is to drive as well. That also means that you always need a thruster that's opposing another thruster if you want to fly it effectively. So by that logic, you can already tell that I did not make this as best as possible, because what you would typically want to do is have a thruster here and then one on the front for brakes, basically is what you would consider that. But the turning I did assign that way. You see each thruster is opposing each other, so we were able to control it. And you also have to consider weight in that as well, because inertia is very important. Big, heavy ships take a long time to get going and a long time to stop. Like a big train, basically. So let's assign some colors now that we've assigned keys. Remember, double F to get to keys, and then single F to get to just assigning colors. You can right-click to deselect it. So let's press F once, and you see it says K, and you see everything that can be controlled by the control block now has a white box when you mouse over it. If you left-click, you'll assign it a color. Remember, space was forward, so red. That'll work out perfectly. Now, we also wanted left and right. Well, if I make this one my green, that will mean if I wanted to go left, I'll click there. Thruster will come out and go that way that I'm pointing right now, and will actually turn to our right. So we actually want this thruster to be our green one, and this one to be our light blue one. Same thing with this. All the controls are opposite. If you're used to playing first-person shooters, if you're playing the inverted control, this will be very similar. If you don't play inverted, this will be a little bit confusing. Just think backwards. Flight controls are backwards. And that depends on how you have your thrusters. But in this setup, that's what we're going to do. Yellow and then pink. Scroll your mouse wheel or right-click to deselect. Now that we have it wired up, the easiest thing to do is to get where you want to, walk up to your console, and look in the bottom right-hand corner. You see that little foot on a platform? That means you're magnetically connected to the object you're nearest. You see that? Now if I'm here and I fly this ship, it'll just go without me. But if I'm here and I fly the ship, I will go with it, even though I'm not really in a cockpit sitting in any kind of chair. Move over to your console, press E, and you will begin flying it. You also can't move around. You see I'm pressing WSAD and I'm not moving anywhere. But you'll notice that the ship now moves. Now these are very weak thrusters. You can see sometimes you'll see a little bit of thruster whatever coming out of there. See the little white. And if I press W, we go up, and S, we go down. Check it out. So we're flying anyways. And if I press space, we'll start to move forward. Dun, 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 dun. Hooray! You can rotate your stealth with the controls, and of course using your mouse allows you to look around. In the future, you can use such things as guns and camera blocks to be able to fortify yourself inside of your ship, and so nobody can get you, and you can fire out, and you can have multiple cameras. And the larger console blocks allow you to have even more control. So you can have huge amounts of thrusters, everything from pitch, yaw, vertical takeoff and landing, brakes, all kinds of things. You see I'm flying off. It's because these thrusters are very weak, and so they slow down the ship barely at all. Stronger thrusters make it much easier to fly your ship. So check it out. We're flying around a little dinky ship. This is like a surfboard, I guess. A space surfboard. I'm the Silver Surfer. Oh yeah. Check it out, Corneroids ship flying tutorial. I hope this is helpful. Comment in below if it's not, if I haven't answered all the questions. Subscribe for more. See you next time. Bye.